Everybody, welcome to Freakin Friday. My name is Nicholas Kazonis. This is Rich Jennings from Region Media Network and Media Radio. Today we got a very special guest, Mr. Mike Wallace, going to be coming in and playing some tunes for us. And wanted to introduce you, Mike, and just let you kind of say hello to everybody and tell them where you're from and what you do.
All right, well, hello everybody. Currently live in Crown Point, been there the last 20 plus years, raised my 3 children with my wife. And all through the Crown Point school system, and now 2 out of college, 1 in college, so soon to be an empty nester.
Oh, man.
I think as early as August, right? So I think my wife and I are looking forward to that, definitely.
Yeah.
So I've been playing music since I was 13 years old, and I got $75 from my dad and bought a Memphis Mustang guitar from my friend Bill Conley, and I played that thing night and day. Tom Petty album just came out, Damn the Torpedoes, and I couldn't play a lick of it, but I sure as heck tried. So
yeah.
And I slept with that guitar and just played and played and played, and just over the years continued to grow and learn, and began writing songs as early as probably about 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
Not very good, but did. Had a band, in high school called, Blue Smoke, and then out of high school we went a little bit more edgier, so we called ourselves Ekamzulb, which is Blue Smoke backwards.
Right? You guys took from the old Zeppelin trick, right?
Yeah, we were pretty creative back then. Yeah. So my buddy Terry and Chris Lazo and Dave Tunn and even Leave Boland at times. So so we had a good times, but then life set in, right? And had to take on a career, and was fortunate to meet my wife when I was 24, and married soon after that. And I've been married. It'll be 30 years, May 11th of this year. So I think I did all right, right?
Now, are you the only musician in your family, or?
My grandfather, a pianist and an organist, actually played at the cathedral in London. I can't remember the name of it, but had an opportunity there, but played the church organ in Dumfries, Scotland.
Okay.
My father could play jazz piano. My sister Suzanne plays piano.
So you come from a very musical background.
Yeah, on that side I'd say yeah.
How many generations do you know?
I just go back to my grandfather. I don't know if my great-grandfather played or not.
Gotcha.
So
that's so cool. Yeah, I'm actually 4 generations of Greek music in my family.
Right.
So I kind of always ask that question when someone brings up like people in their family play or whatnot. Yeah. Now, have you passed it on to your children?
A little bit. My son Dylan was doing some rap.
Oh, okay.
I taught him how to record. He has a voice. He can sing. And my son Drew, not so much, but he loves music. And then my daughter Hannah, she's learning piano now. She has my cherished Fender Redondo acoustic.
Oh wow!
Right, the California Session 1983 series, and she plays that and is learning piano. And this song we're gonna do, she wants to come and play piano with me on it. So
that'd be kind of cool.
I'll look forward to that coming up soon. Yeah.
And you actually, we just met recently. You've been like recording here and working on some projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, my question, we can't let this slide here.
Uh-oh.
Rap? How much input did you have on his on the vocal? Did you teach him how to rap?
No, not even close. Not even close. But I encouraged the heck out of him because I could hear it, and he was really good. And he and his my nephew Michael, they would do it, and they had them they had their name and everything. I won't say it because he'd be mad at me. But
now, do you play piano?
A little bit, but not musically trained. I can't, I could read music if I sat down and read it over an hour and right and transpose it back. I can't look at a sheet of music and play it, and so that
Not much of a sight reader.
Yeah, piano. I was in choir in 8th grade, and we had a substitute teacher who didn't know anything about music, except for he knew the mathematical equation on how to build piano chords. And I was fascinated. So it's 1 plus 3 plus, 1 plus 4 plus 3 is a major, 1 plus 3 plus 4 is a minor, and then you can add the 7th. And that made complete sense to me. So I can play the piano because I know all the chords.
Gotcha.
But
that's really cool.
I
yeah.
was to say, now you're getting into your realm of.
Oh yeah. No, so I my degree is music theory, composition, and I also took like many songwriting platforms and things like that to learn, because I never was really I won't say meant to be, but I never thought that I would be a vocalist. I never sang up until about 6 years ago. So it was like, for me, I was like, oh, I'm more into like the composition aspect. I love the actual music of it. I'm not really big into the lyrics, but once I started studying about it, I was like, man, there's like a beautiful art in words, and I never realized that before. And now, like, I'm all in. Obviously, I mean, we're doing a show on it, so
That's awesome.
But so let's talk about your first tune. Where's this song come from, and what's the meaning behind it?
All right, so this is called The Sunny Side of Gray. I wanted to write a song for my children, and so I wanted to write a song, but I didn't want it to be all teddy bears and bubblegum, right? Because life has a lot of ups and downs, and you find yourself needing to get back up more often than you do, to step down and just chill. So I had some verses, I liked all the verses, but I didn't have a hook. And then I was at a business mixer at the Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower. So there's some endorsements out there for you. So it was at the Metropolitan Club, which you can see the whole city, except for it was a rainy day and there was clouds and you couldn't see a thing. It was just surreal. It was gray everywhere around. And so a lot of people just kind of left. By the end of it, there wasn't a lot of people there, but I was still sticking around and sitting chatting with some people that I just met. And one of them was a gal named Lise Gilly, and she was a flautist, not a flutist, because I said, "Oh, you play the flute?" She goes, "Oh, I'm a flautist," right? I said, "Okay, cool." And
Chicken or steak?
exactly.
Oh wait, sorry, wrong flout.
Yeah, but Lise Gilly, she's a very talented, flutist or flautist. But the clouds began to break. And the sun started shining, and she just looked out, and she goes, "Oh, the sunny side of gray."
Oh man, what a lyric!
And that was the hook that I needed all along. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So thanks, Lise.
Very cool. Well, you want to get started on doing this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
When you're down, feeling blue, and it's all that you can do just to keep from cracking up and keep your head from spinning off. If there is trouble and if there is need, and you fall down to your knees, I'll be there to lend a hand. I'll be there to lift you up. I'll be there on the sunny side of gray. La da da da, la da da da. And if you are angry and feeling unheard, and authority seems absurd, you're always being told what to do. It seems like you never get to choose. And if you are lonely and feeling unloved, and your walls come crumbling down, I'll be there to hold you tight. I promise that I will love you right. 'Cause I'll be there on the sunny side of gray, where life's a different shade of colors and people in a wonderful way. And we're living for the pure existence of life, Peace, love, and happiness, the only advice. And war is only something that we've read about. Yes, war is only something that we've read about. And war is only something that we've read about in books. I'll be there to lend a hand. I'll be there to lift you up. I'll be there on the sunny side of gray.
That was a great tune. I know we worked a little bit on that one, but I'm gonna let Rich ask some questions about it because I kind of already know a little bit of the backstory, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
With when you go to write songs like that, what came first? Was it the hook, or was it the, is it a melody thing? Is it a word thing? What usually comes first for you?
Yeah, that was the music, right? So I was really that bad at it in the beginning, right? But I worked with it and got it. I wrote that, and then usually once I get a little thing, something just pops out of my head. And I was When You're Down and Feeling Blue. And that was as simple as that, and that's where I took it. So I had the two verses, but I didn't have the hook. The hook came at the business mixer when, I wasn't even remotely close to saying, I had nowhere to go with the song, actually. I didn't even have a bridge or anything. It was Lee's Gilly saying the look, the sunny side of gray, as the sun came up over the clouds. And I'm like, man, that's it. I have to, how do I get that? And that's when I went home, and I think it was that night, literally went right into it and found a way to get into a bridge and everything like that. Yeah.
I got a question. So, when you have those sparks of inspiration and motivation, do they typically fester to the point where you're like, I have to sit down and do this at once? Or are you the type of writer where you can kind of sit back and really just hone in on well, I like that idea. Let me kind of find some inspiration in that, but let me also put this down and approach it at another time. Are you a working writer, or are you blah, puke it all out and it's just on the table and that's what it is kind of thing?
Yeah, my younger days, I was just puking it all out, honestly, right?
Okay.
I had to do it and I had to finish it, and I finished it before it was finished because I had to have people listen to it, right? Now, I guess you mature, so now it's a work in progress. We spent some time recording The Sunny Side of Gray, but
last week.
But I think it's going to change now. So we're going to have we're going to have to redo the guitar, right? So I think you realize that, but that's okay. So I even learned something there that So now I'm more processed, and I'm more defined, and I've gone back and I've restructured a lot of my old songs that I didn't take the time to do before. And I'm just, so now just trying to really, a lot of my songs were 6 or 7 minutes long, right? So,
Is your process the same for every song?
No, it changes. Yeah, it's different. Over? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it changes.
It's fascinating to me. It's just, I love that. It's just fascinating to me to hear all the different styles of writing.
It's funny because when I was at Columbia, and I think I spoke about this in a previous episode a little bit, but I was talking to Nick Tremulous, one of the songwriter teachers up at the school, because I was in this class, and we were talking, and it was one of those things where he was like, yeah, man, he goes, some songs are just gifted to you.
Yeah.
He goes, and then some songs, it's just a thing of learning about what it is that you're writing about, and you end up long-term understanding something about your own life that why that was gifted to you and why it didn't make sense at the time, but it was something you had to let out,
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was curious if you have any of those kinds of songs where it just festers to the point where it almost bothers you that it's not done.
Yeah, I have one I'm working on right now called Sad Song, and it's it's very poetic. I love some of the verses, and they're not verses I wrote myself. I took them from other people's who would say things, So I listen a lot when someone says something.
That's Leanne was talking about that. Yeah.
And you hear something, I'm like, well, that would really sound good, and it's she cries at weddings, picture shows, and funerals, and that was written a blog or something that I saw, like of a coworker, and I thought that's really beautiful, and I put that into a song. And I started writing this song called "Sad Song" about this, girl that is happy when she's sad. So, but I can't finish it. I've got everything, but there's something's missing. So.
Oh, maybe we'll have to co-compose some things on that one.
After our first session, or as our first date, as I put it.
Thank you so much for the shout out as well.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I got a little grief from my wife on that one. Like, what are you talking about a first date? And then I think she said,
When she see the picture of me, she was like, "Oh, never mind. We're good."
Yeah.
Are most of your songs autobiographical,
Well, my wife is the subject of a lot of them.
Okay.
She really, came at that point in my life where I needed some direction, and she just, everything clicked for us. Everything was easy, and that's 30 years ago. So she's a huge part of my the catalog of songs.
Right.
But not all of them, right? And I think sometimes she thinks she's right. Sorry. So,
what's up? Where's that space for you? Where's that safe space to write? Do you have that one spot in your house, in your
Oh,
could be
is
the
there like
office, could be,
is there a garage mahal that you that you
it's my basement, right?
Okay.
So it's my area. It's my
the dark, dingy, wet, damp
It's
basement?
exactly. It leaks. The foundation is crumbling.
That's like always what it is, right?
Yeah. So, but it's my spot, right? I'm very comfortable. I mean, that's where I go. I get home and I'm down in the basement, and that's after work. I go down, especially lately. This whole week I've been down in the basement just trying to get polished up so I don't embarrass myself.
Oh,
right?
you ain't embarrassing anybody, man.
No.
You're making us proud. You sound great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
now
Yeah.
the next question. I'm glad you said that about the sounding. Has anybody ever told you, in my opinion at least, you sound like Dylan but smoother?
I've heard the Dylan references. Sometimes I intentionally try to, and I do a couple of his songs really well, like "Tangled Up in Blue," and
Okay.
But yeah, I have heard that, and I think there's a reason. The influences of music, really come from my two sisters, Suzanne and Judith. It was Neil Young and Bob Dylan,
Okay.
and Neil Young and Bob Dylan, and Neil Young
I
and
think
Bob Dylan.
the first time I heard you, and
Oh,
I told
yeah.
you, I said, "Man, I love the way you sing
Yeah.
Neil Young."
Yeah. So
It's definitely that throwback style. I like
Yes,
that.
and I mean, I truly love it. Like when I first heard you, I was like, okay, I can hear this guy. That's what drew me into Mike.
Yeah.
That was like one of those things where I was at the open mic and I was like, oh, it's a new guy. Let's, see what they do. And then I hear him do these Neil Young tunes and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Something seems really cool here. I need to let me do some investigating. Let me poke the cattle a little bit. Let me see if I can get some milk.
Yeah. Guilty as charged. I mean, I could probably do the entire Harvest album acoustically, including like "A Man Needs a Maid" acoustically. I've worked on and have it. I just have to brush up. So yeah.
That's super cool.
So you're saying that Dylan and Young are your main ones? Is there anybody else that has played a factor in this voice and sound?
Pink Floyd. From
Okay.
Uma Guma to the early days with Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, before the Gilmore, he was just entering. But they were very influential as I started, getting a little older and looking at my own music, right?
Okay.
And even Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, when they came out with that big album, Damn the Torpedoes, was just, I couldn't stop listening to that.
yeah.
So yeah.
It like scratches at you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you find like a new artist, you're like, oh my gosh, that's the sound. That's the sound, right? That's the imagery that I hear.
And he was
what I wanna
scraggly
do.
too. He had pimples like I did, and he wasn't a pretty boy, right? And there was a real good connection to him because he prettied up over the years. But when he first came out, he was,
money will let you pretty up right real quick.
he was you felt like hey, he's like one of my buddies. It felt like so yeah. I've always loved Tom Petty.
So what's the next song called?
All right, so this one is, I guess I've ghost-written this with my wife's grandfather, Russell Bradshaw. So Russell Bradshaw, born in 1912.
Oh
down in
man,
Falls,
this is gonna be nice. I like this.
So down in the Falls of Rough, Kentucky, which is south of Louisville. So he was a guitar picker, harmonica player. I never really got to experience much of that, or hear him at all. They had me play harmonica for him, and he said I was a hack, and I was at the time, so he wasn't. He was the truth. But probably about 10 years ago, my wife and I were coming back from a vacation, and we were asked to stop by the Falls of Rough, Kentucky, and pick up a box for her Aunt Alice. So Alice was Russell's first daughter. He was married to another Alice. I can't remember her first name or last name, but she died and Alice was 4 years old. So he was, widowed at 4. But anyway, the story on him was he was one heck of a guitar picker and vocalist. And someone wanted to take him down to Nashville, but he had to stay in the Falls of Rough and work the family farm, which is still there today. And they have a family reunion every year. So in this box, I'm nosy, so I started going through it, and some very old writings. I'm figuring they had to be from the 30s to 1940s, right? Maybe 1928.
This is awesome.
And I'm looking through, and you had to be delicate because you could have crumbled the paper. So I turn a page, and I see the title, Dem Daisies Never Tell. So D-E-M, Daisies Never Tell. I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. There is a sweet old story that you have heard before. Here among the daisies, let me tell you more. I'm like, oh, man.
Oh.
Right? And it goes on. So without further ado.
Ooh, yeah. Let's do it. So what's the title of this one again?
Dem Daisies Never Tell.
Okay.
Let me make sure I'm in the right thing for next. Ah, there is a sweet old story that you have heard before. Here among the daisies, let me tell you more. Only say you love me and love you I will. With that kiss, my dear, them daisies never tell. Ah, them daisies never tell. So come kiss me, do. Tell me you love me and say that you'll be true. In a dream, I found you by my side while we gathered daisies along the chain you tied. And around us both, oh, you had it wound. So close I was to you. And with that kiss, my dear, come make these dreams come true. Ah, damn daisies never tell. So come kiss me, do. Tell me you love me and say that you'll be true. 'Cause you and I are like a symphony, blazing in the falls rough and chaining daisies. You and I, we are meant to be, blazing in the falls rough and chaining daisies. Take it away. Ah, them daisies never tell, so come kiss me, do. Tell me you love me and say that you'll be true. 'Cause them daisies never tell, so come kiss me, do. Tell me you love me and say that you'll be true. Come kiss me, do, and I love you.
Well, that was a great tune, and I would love to dive more into that. But Rich has a couple questions that.
Yes. When you, in a song like that, where you're given the poem, because you said it came from, was it your great-grandfather?
No, it was my wife's grandfather.
Oh, wife, that's right.
Yeah.
When you get something like that, how much does that change your writing style? Because now you've got this whole thing in front of you.
Oh, I don't think I thought about that. But I will tell you.
Start thinking, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the first thing I ever, when I first sat down, it was this. From the very beginning.
It just
So
popped-
Okay.
it
popped
was like it was calling. I thought this is and that. So the verse became right away. Once again, it became down to the chorus and the bridge, which there weren't words for. So this one was very easy for me in the beginning. But then I never had. Once again, I didn't have anywhere to go until I started working on trying to find the bridge, and I did, and then came up with the additional words for the song.
It's amazing to me to think that you like you said, you had the poem in front of you, but you had to fill in the rest. And what goes through your mind to try and, because I mean, you've got to feel some pressure in the fact that you're trying to honor what is on the page, and then add to it. What goes through your mind as you try to add to those words?
I did, knowing that it wasn't my song and that it would belong to Russell and his family. It was. I put a lot of thought into it. Sometimes you just stumble into things. So I was just working, and I'd found the musical bridge, that I wanted to go with it. And I was, it just popped to me, right? Now I tied in the Falls of Rough Kentucky, lazing in the Falls of Rough, chaining daisies, which is not part of the song. There was no reference to the Falls of Rough Kentucky. So when I hit that, I really felt like, okay, this is awesome, because now it ties into the Falls of Rough Kentucky, which is where the Bradshaw family, resides from, and is, historical family down there on some historical land. So that, and so I really felt when I got that, I really felt that this song was complete. I just had to brush it up and work on my picking, my strumming, and my vocal tonation on it. So I think I'm getting there. So
that's so cool. So like, how often would you say that you write based on the third person then? Is that like a conscious thing that you try to do, or is it unconscious? Like, because I know I have songs that I've written that sound very personal as if I'm saying them, but it was actually just me, talking to a friend, and found that they were going through a hard time or a happy time, and they were describing it to me, and I was utilizing and putting myself and using empathy to like put myself in their situation to try to emulate that in the song. Like, do you ever try to consciously do that for people, or is it, or song? I guess my question is songwriting more of a I don't want to say selfish, but a personable thing, or is it more about like you're trying to leave something for like your children or the world, or is it taking from first question, is it taking from the third person, from other people's experiences and trying to make them your own, and then B is with this music, like, are you trying to connect to a broader audience, or is it more about leaving something for your children?
Not so much leaving something for me. Leaving for my children, I think is just the relationship we have, and
Okay.
how close we are. That's what's important to me. So, musically, I guess I do write a lot in the third person, but honestly, a lot of it it's about me, right? A lot of the songs, even sad songs about the sad, happy girl, a lot of it is is kind of about me, which I think a lot of people would have a hard time understanding. But a lot of times I'm sharing some of my experiences or what I feel, and and any messages I want to get out. I mean, I have an ego. I'm just looking for a one-hit wonder, and that'll be my legacy, right? So,
if anybody from Capitol is watching,
yeah, these songs are for sale, by the way. So I think
And it's funny because I was going to ask kind of what you were talking about was if it was a therapeutic thing for you, because you said at the end of the day you go down into the dungeon or and is it more of a therapeutic thing for you to just get stuff out?
Oh yeah, it's pop open at the end of the day. You pop open a beer, head in the basement, and just play the guitar and pick and work on your picking, and just continue to work on the craft, which I've been more in tune with now than I was when I was younger. I wish when I was younger I had the wherewithal to really push myself, but I didn't. I was lazy. I was a lazy songwriter, a lazy musician. And now, I'm ready to, really take it seriously. And I have reworked these songs and tried to tie them into little bundles. And because I do think some of them were worthy and would sound really awesome with a real professional singing them, right? And really produced, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tell me that you can't see that vision as soon as he sings the beer, the old guitar. You can just, when you said that about cracking open the beer, writing the songs, instead of going, that's what I envision when I hear him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what just sitting back and relaxing to your songs. That's exactly what I see. That's
sometimes
crazy.
it's not till my wife flicks the lights, right? That I'm, and she's like, it's like
It's 4 in the morning.
Yeah, and you got to work at 7, so yeah.
2-minute warning.
I get a lot of those light flicks, or sometimes too loud, right? So.
So
yeah.
where'd the harmonica come from? How did that build in?
I'd always been trying to work with it. Wasn't really good. I didn't pick it up until my mid-20s, right? And that was when I performed for Russell Bradshaw, and he said I was a hack, right? So, like I said, he was right at that time.
He was quite inspirational.
Yeah, he told it like it was. There wasn't no
If
beating
you're
around
from
the bush.
what is it called, Rough, Kentucky?
Falls
Rough, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that you're gonna have things that are sugar coated for you.
No, he didn't sugarcoat anything. So, but he was true. He was right. I mean, that was.
And that's
that was the
sometimes when people. We live in a day and age where a lot of people want to feel like they want things to be said to them in a nicer way, which is absolutely true. But there's something to be said about that old school, like tough Southern, like way of upbringing. Is like, man, those were just some tough people back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like I said,
yeah.
see, he had someone wanted to take him down to Nashville, but he had to work the farm, right? He could have been the next Gene Autry, or in that era, that would have been the era when he'd have been.
Yeah.
So you never know, right? So I never really heard him sing. I've never heard him play guitar, because he was much older when I had met him. So, and I'd only been a part of his life for 10 years. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Now, when you write, is there a specific go-to guitar that you use?
Well, it's this one right now. Yeah. This one is everything because it's attached to me. I know it so well.
If anybody from Takamine is watching,
yeah. Well, I'll give a shout out to region guy Jim Rubino. Jimmy, how are you? Jimmy, make me a deal, Rubino. Everything's for sale. So Jim Rubino is the guy that hooked me up with this guitar, and he said, "I got a guitar for you. You're gonna love it." And it was way more than I wanted to spend. And he's always gonna I got a deal, right? But he's gonna make his money. But that's a businessman. So I love Jim Rubino, and he's still in business today on Broadway.
He's on Broadway off 73rd now.
So,
yeah. Yeah, they had a big shop, but with the way that the economy and things are moving, it's just for a guy like him, it makes sense to have something smaller,
Yeah.
instead of such a big shop, because you have to hold all that inventory, and things are moving mostly online. And
oh yeah, and then you got the big, the McDonald's of the guitar shops.
Yeah, we won't even say that name.
Yeah.
We won't even say their name because they're going bankrupt.
Yeah, McDonald's Center is what we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're slinging guitars out.
Yeah.
So what's this next tune all about? I'd like to maybe go in depth on this one a bit.
Well, I mean, I've audibled on this one, so this was not what I was intending to perform, but I thought since we've been talking so much about the kids and everything, so this is a song called Suburban Paradise, which is now in its probably 4th rewrite. And it's on, I've recorded it twice before, not happy with it. And I've changed the intro. The chorus is now the bridge, right? So I've restructured the whole thing, and I'm happy with it to where it's at right now. So
what were the what were some of the? You said you made some edits that you weren't happy with. What about those that made you want to edit them? Like, what was like? I want to know what that process kind of looked like. Like, what's that?
Yeah. So as I've grown, I only really had intro, verse, chorus, right? Intro, verse, chorus, and I never had a bridge. I could never find a bridge or a break, And if I did have a break, it was just hanging on the chord long, right? And just instead of just, so it was the structure. So it became a learning process. And like I said, I was a lazy musician when I was younger. So I thought the song was done, right? And then I performed it. The defining moment was probably about maybe less than 10 years ago, I was proud of some of my music. I sent it out for critique.
Okay.
You know, so but careful what you ask for. So the critique came back, very good, including, check your tuning. Really? So thanks for reminding me to tune up every time.
Oh yeah.
And then, but
If
it
you ever
ended.
record with me, I tell you before every take, oh, go ahead and tune up.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead and tune up.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead and tune up.
So then the advice was listen to pop music, right? And don't give up on writing that anthem, right? Because I was, hooks, I've been good with having hooks, but never the structure. So it wasn't the words, it was really the way the song was structured. And then, just a couple little modifications, just as I learned and growed. That
Chord here,
yeah.
melody line there. Okay, so it wasn't the lyrics that needed the adjustment then.
Correct.
Okay, so let's I'm gonna cattle prod the cattle here. So when you go into thinking about that now, like, okay, so I need a bridge, or I need to restructure the chorus or the verse and whatnot. When you're going about it in that kind of way, and you're looking at it from a lyrical standpoint, when you're writing the lyrics, are you like sitting down and just coming up with a line and writing it down? That didn't work. Let me cross that out. Let me throw another line in there. That wasn't really feeling whatever. Or, I really like these 3 lines, and these would kind of go well with this. What can I do to put those, in between?
Hold on, we have to cut.
Oh,
It's Jim Rubino calling me.
that's funny.
Hey, Jimmy, I can't talk now. I'll call you back, buddy.
Let's just leave that in. That was fun. So,
Go figure, man. Yes, he's guy's golden, man.
if you're okay with it, I'm okay with leaving that in.
Oh,
that's,
yeah, absolutely.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's
I
funny.
heard the tone. And I was like,
Yeah. So essentially, when you're going through the lyrics, like what's the process of the lyrics, right? Like, what is that like when you're writing the lyrics? What's the process look like? Are you looking for words that rhyme? Are you looking for the circadian rhythm, like da 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 ba da da ba da da ba ba da 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 da? Are you doing all those things? Are there specifics to the way that you're like looking at the lyrics?
It's a lot of it's by sounds, right? So it's like, when I just start playing and trying to, I'm not really worried about the rhyming like a poem and put it in the prose. I'm more about how the words, and I really get joy out of making words that don't rhyme sound like they rhyme, right? So you can do that. And
Can you give us an example?
no. No, I can't.
Okay.
So maybe I
Okay.
don't mean that, but I don't. I mean, maybe there's something in this song. I can't think of an example, but I don't worry about the rhyming of the words.
You don't worry about the
Sometimes
vowel rhyme, but more about the rhythm.
the way
yeah.
the
That's kind of what I was getting at.
yeah, and I really the way the vocals lie on the guitar line, and and with the harmonica, I look at myself as a 3-piece band, right? So I've got harmonica, vocal, and guitar. And, so I try to make it, I've been really working on trying to make it as it's one unit, and it just flows so smooth that and that's kind of what, I look for in the playing style. When I'm writing the songs, sometimes I'll sit down and write, I'll think of something. Sometimes I just think of a line in my head, and I grab my phone and I just record it, and then I have it, and then I'll write it down, and then it comes back later.
We've touched on this before
Yeah.
with technology,
Sure.
how technology has changed the way that a lot of songwriters are writing. Since you've kind of seen the pen and paper age and the digital age, like myself, do you favor one over the other?
Oh, it's far more convenient now because I've forgotten some of the best lines and best things I've ever have written because I didn't write them down.
Because you didn't write them down.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best songs. I got a friend, Bill St. Clair, is always telling me you
I
should
love
have
Bill.
a.
I'm playing with Bill
recorder.
tonight.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
All right, tell Bill I said, hey, man. He always walks around with a recorder, right? And he always told me I should have one, and I should, but I don't. It's part of that laziness, right, that we talk about. And but now my structure, I'm very comfortable when I'm writing, more confidence that I'm going to be able to find where I'm going with it. And I'm going back and reworking a lot of my old songs, but yet now I still have a few new songs that have come out. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Did you have anything, Rich, before we start this next one?
I think we
Okay.
touched on it there.
Give me the first chord. Let me figure out what key I'm in.
Well, that's so because I've gone. goes to the verse and we go,
Okay.
right? So I think the band, the weight, out on the weekend, you feel that vibe, right?
All right. I'll use my ears and listen, and when I don't know the notes, I will back off. What's the name of this one?
Suburban Paradise.
Suburban Paradise.
Got 3 kids, got a house, got a wife. I've got 2 cars, one's good, one's not so nice. And I'm living here in my suburban paradise. All the neighbors up and down the block, oh, they like to sit around and talk about the news they read while they were watching CNN. Larry King talks to Monica, says Slick Willie was in love with her. Meanwhile the kids are in the backyard playing unsupervised. Drew, quit your crying, mama coming now. And Dylan, put those Power Rangers down. Well, Hannah, why must I tell you over and over again? Saturday morning, the curtains are on. I roll up my black socks and I go mow the lawn. And Jeffrey the neighbor, he waves over to me, sporting a brand new John Deere. And Terry calls me on my Verizon flip phone. He says the band's got a gig, get your guitar and go. And later that night, we're singing songs by John Lennon, thinking, man, this is cool. And how is it I got so much to look forward to? How's I ended up with a girl like you? And how is it my life is better now that I'm the old man than when I was? No manuals to prepare us, only the memories of our dysfunctional child lives. And the tears we wipe away now, they bring the smiles that lights up our children's eyes. Lets us know we've done it right in our suburban paradise.
Is that an ode to New Balance shoes?
Well, some of the other advice was, listen to that I got when I asked for critiquing of some of my writing, and it was, listen to modern music and country specifically, and every country song is talking about Bud Light or, so it's endorsements, right? And so this song's loaded with them, right? You got, Slick Willie, Monica Lewinsky. Mm-hmm. You got Larry King. Who I was a fine dining waiter in my young life, and I've waited on Larry King several times. A gentleman, and had some very beautiful women with him, but a lousy tipper. Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so just by the way, and I'd sit there all night with him, so, and he requests me too, so. But he was a gentleman, he was a very nice man. So endorsements, John Deere, so my Verizon flip phone, which I really miss. We were talking about technology. I do miss my Verizon flip phone. It was
ABC.
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah, I do miss that.
DEF.
It was worth it to me. So,
yeah. That's so cool. So going into that, obviously, when I was so encapsulated with the lyrics that I messed up my guitar part quite a few times. But,
honestly said, I blew the ending. So I mean, I guess I could.
You heard it here on Freakin Friday Singer.
I completely blew the ending. So that was the chorus is now the out, right? The break. Mm-hmm. So but I blew it on this song, so I apologize.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so when in a situation like that, because you said, prior to the song, you said that you've rewrote it, what did you say, 4 times?
Yeah.
How many times does that happen to you where in your brain you start going back to a previous edit or a previous...
Yeah, it has. That particular instance was just lost where I was. All of a sudden, I had no clue, right?
All of a sudden, he's in front of a bunch of guys.
Giving him an out.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Oh, the out is that we are human too.
Yeah, the out is that Russell Bradshaw is right. I am a hack, right? So but
oh, that is awesome.
But I'm working. I'm working at it, right? So yeah.
That's a great tune. So like, what I like about it is it almost to me sounds, and I'm sure that this isn't the case, but the song came so naturally because it was just like, well, this happened in life, and you built this imagery, and here's that picture of Dylan. Was it Dylan playing Power Rangers?
Yep.
And like, how many times do I have to tell you to your daughter? Like, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, man, I'm not even a dad. I don't have kids. I'm not married or nothing. But I can relate to that as a child. But I also can relate to it even though I am older, like, and a teacher, I teach students, and it's like, oh, wow, I can see it on every generation that you cover in the song. And I think that takes a really good songwriter to be able to do that. So kudos to you
Appreciate it.
for being able to see that and express that. So what seems so naturally probably doesn't feel natural when you're writing it, because I know, like, for me, it's like, let me fine comb tune this, fine comb tune that, fine comb tune, Then I'm just constantly polishing it, trying to evoke exactly what it is, but it feels very natural.
Yeah, it's a song. I mean, it's the era that it was written is exactly what it's talking about with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and Larry King and everything. But and my 3 children, So it just It just came out one night, and it just came out, and I was, the whole thing, Dylan quit your crime, or Drew quit your crime, Mama's coming out, it spit out one time when I was writing. I wrote it down, and I had that, and then I just kept coming back, and that song came pretty quick in lyrically. Once again, it's the music that has been transformed over the years, and that's where it is now, and I'm still kicking myself for screwing up the ending, but sorry.
I know why it came. As a father of 2, I know exactly how part of that came. He came up from the basement, tripped over the Power Rangers, and told
Yep.
I got you.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my parents are probably watching this show, and they're probably saying, oh, yeah, I remember Nick in watching the Power Rangers and jumping on our bed because that was the spare TV room, was their bedroom when I was a kid. That was, where the second TV was. And so I'd be like, I want to watch Power Rangers. Go in my bedroom and watch him. Just leave me alone, And I'd be on their bed, like, jumping and, like, kicking the air and, throwing down pillows and stuff. So I remember, what are you doing? Stop jumping. Stop jumping. What do you do? Like, yeah. So I get it.
Yeah, I hope my 19-year-old boy Drew doesn't get any grief from his kids, from his buddies, or saying, hey, quit crying, Drew, right? So he was a baby at the time, so he's a beautiful young man now. So.
How does your kids feel the first time they heard that song, knowing that it's them?
So I played in a band called the Stray Toasters, and we did 80s and 90s pop. So they'd hear a song, they'd hear like In Excess come on the radio, and they'd tell their friends that's Dad's band. In the early days, they didn't know any better. That's funny, right?
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
no, that's not us. We just play that song.
Yeah,
oh, really?
yeah.
Right. So when they were young, I think it was one of my children that said that to me. But no, they like it. I think, they've seen me perform. So I think it gives them. I would hope it maybe gives them confidence to be on a stage and realize that if our dad can do it, then we can do it. And I've seen that. All 3 of my children are very, very outspoken. They get a lot of the grace from their mother, Sean, but and they get a lot of their the outward creativity, I think, and all 3 of them are really creative, unique in their own different ways. So yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to share the stage with any of them yet?
Not yet.
No?
No. But my daughter, I think Hannah, will definitely be. We'll be at an open mic soon. with
Cool.
you. Yeah. That's
Thursdays,
coming.
Regional. I'm there.
There you go.
With RegionBuzz is there, I should say, hosting the open mic. We have different people from RegionBuzz hosting it. So.
Yeah. Now with I just lost my track. You said Regional, and I started thinking of drinks. With your kids like that, how I was asking about sharing the stage. For you, we're going to take a little departure here. What's that ultimate venue for you? If you had to pick one venue to play.
Soldier Field.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Why not? Right.
That's it's a little different. The last couple people I've asked that question talked about. I've had the Red Rocks out in Colorado, and then Leanne was the Ryman, the Circle.
Yeah.
But why Soldier Field? Just
I'm a Bears fan, right? I mean, I bleed blue and orange, man. I'm sorry. I just, it's, even I'm still with them. I don't care who the quarterback is. I'm still gonna watch the games and get mad. So.
And bring him back to Bourbonnais, please. Just saying. But no, I'm a huge Bears fan, so I'm right there with you.
Honestly, I never really thought about that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, if that, if I was performing at Soldier Field, I think, I'm gonna guess I probably made something, or I won a contest, right?
I would say
Won a contest.
Something, because see, for a concert, what's that? 80,000 probably, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring them on.
Yeah.
Yep.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I remember a few years back, one of my cover bands, The Rave, we opened up for Boston at the Festival of the Lakes, and it was like thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I remember it was my first time in a while playing in front of that large of a crowd. And I was like, ooh, all right. Well, this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, you get a little bit of the nerves, like, don't trip, right? While you're walking out on the stage and everybody's going nuts. And I pretty much tripped, right? And I was the first one coming out in front of like thousands of people. And I was like, the one thing I was nervous about, and I tripped and I almost fall. But it was 105 degrees that day. I drank, I think, within a 90-minute set, I think I drank 4 big Gatorades and like 10 bottles of water. And still, by the end of the set, I was completely dehydrated. It was insane. It was so hot. But it was so worth it.
Yeah.
It was so worth it. It was a lot of fun.
That's
cool.
That's crazy. See, to me, I can't do what you guys do. So playing the thought of playing in front of thousands of people would just terrify me to no end.
I don't know, and maybe you can kind of attest to this a little bit too. But I feel most natural in life on stage.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel very comfortable, generally speaking. I mean, I can and I do all the time, but I'm not like a hermit. But like I feel most comfortable in my most true self on a stage, whereas like most people are like, oh, I just want to be in a room with my friends and talking, and I'm like, when I'm sitting talking to my friends, that's like a whole different experience that is nice, but that's not where I feel at home. I feel at home on a stage. Like that's where I just feel the most comfortable. So it's really interesting when people say like, oh, that would terrify me. And I'm like, no. And I don't even like, and here's the thing, I don't even like attention. Yeah. I don't like attention. I don't think like attention being brought to me, but I've gotten used to it now being a musician. It's like, well, guess what? You got to get used to that, Yeah.
That was about a month or two prior to COVID hitting. And I run a student program where I teach them how to broadcast radio and stuff like that for people that don't know. And one of my students got the opportunity via a phone interview to interview Jake the Snake Roberts, Hall of Fame WWE wrestler, because he was doing a show out at the Room. Well, it's a 21 and over, so she couldn't go. So I said, I will go. He offered to put me on the list, and I said, I'll go get you an autograph from him and bring it back. So I go and I talk to him, and everything was cool. I'm sitting over on the side with the promoter. We're just sitting there, and Jake walks over. Immediately, it's one guy, and I'm starting to sweat. And he comes over, and he says, hey. He says, you're the one from the radio, right? And I was like, yeah, yes, sir. And I mean, I'm 6'6", and I'm like, yes, sir. And he goes, you want to do me a favor? What am I going to do? Say no?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm good, Jake.
I'm good, sir. And he goes, introduce me on stage.
Oh, wow.
I looked over, it was Paul Panicali from Smash. I looked over and I said, sure, okay. He walks over, grabs a water, and walks away. And I looked over at Paul and I said, this is going to take at least another beer. And what's Paul do? Slides me. I said, no, these are my outs. I can't get up there. He pushes me up there, and I just went for it. I basically blacked out. I went for it, and he comes over and he goes, thanks, kid. He goes, that was a great intro. And I'm like, you called me kid. But, and I'm standing there in front, what was that, 50, 60 people.
So what was he doing? Was he performing in a band?
No, he was doing stand-up. It's a version of stand-up where he talks about stories from the road.
Oh, okay.
And what it was in the interview with my student, she asked him, well, can you tell me one of these stories? And of course there's a long pause because it's student radio. And he goes, well, I got to find a appropriate one. And I'm like, thank you. and so he was telling stories about, like the one he told on the radio was, he carried the snakes, and he took the snake. He was backstage, and Junkyard Dog was in the bathroom. He was in a stall. And he threw the snake over the top of the stall. He said his mistake was he stood in front of the door to get the picture with him coming out, but he stood too close. Junkyard Dog flew out the door. The door smacked him in the head and knocked him out cold. And so it was stuff like that. That was his whole show.
Yeah, that's funny.
But he was an idol to me, so I'm like, holy crap. And I'm freaking out. So you talking about a 90,000 seat stadium. I'm sitting there going, ain't a chance. No. I have mad respect.
There's 1,000 Jake the Snakes out there.
yeah, exactly. To bring it back, if you had the opportunity to pick one, who's that dream duet? Who's the, or it could be a band. Doesn't have to be a duet. Who's that dream collab? We'll do it that way.
Wow.
I couldn't do it.
It's tough. I mean, I would love to just jam with Neil Young. I mean, honestly, just because, I'd say, hey, can I start your song, Neil? And you just jump in when you're ready. Right. So yeah. I think, if I had that opportunity, there's no way I could pass it. It would be like a once in a lifetime. So, most definitely.
If he were still living, it would be Bill Withers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
If he were still living, yeah. For me, I think that's probably it. But see, the thing is, for me, like, I do such different styles of music. It's like, well, it depends on the situation. But since we're talking about songwriting, since this is a songwriting show, it would be Bill Withers. God rest his soul. Yeah.
Oh, I could absolutely see that. So, my last question, I touched on it earlier with you off the camera. What happened to the guitar? Is that just wear and tear?
Yeah, just strumming it, picking it.
You said somebody told you not to fill it, right?
Yeah, don't put plastic on a guitar. Don't fill it. Just let it play. The sound will continue to absorb itself and change, and you adapt with the sound and the way it goes. I love this guitar. It just fits me, everything. So, I'd sleep with it if I didn't think I'd break it. So,
the real story is he was on the road for 3 months. And he ran out of money, so he got hungry. And started chipping away at it.
It fits the style of music well. That's what I was talking about before. So, no, don't feel that. It fits very well.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you wanted to touch upon, guys? Or
No, it's been a fantastic experience. I really appreciate you having me and allowing me to share my songs.
Thank you for coming on the show. I mean, we love doing this. We love having new songwriters. And new faces, at least new faces to me, I should say. We just met maybe about a month ago, and I was really, really, really intrigued to know about your originals, and I'm just really excited to be working with you, and actually we started doing some recording too.
Yeah,
so
we're back at it next weekend, so I'm looking forward to it, and I did some research on you before we met and started asking a lot of people, and your name just kept coming up. everyone I
gosh.
talk to. Yeah.
That's scary.
On which reports?
Yeah. Which reports
So-
are we referring to?
Yeah. Just
And who were you talking to?
the FBI, Secret Service, right? They all just said, Nick, what you got?
There's another
man?"
3-letter one that I want to avoid. Starts with I.
Yeah. No.
There's a van sitting out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
his, it's an FBI
Funny
van.
story about that, and then we'll close out. So my Wi-Fi password is FBI van 1 and 2 for the house, and my neighbor was like, "Hey, do you notice that there's a Wi-Fi?"
Van outside your house?
I was like, "Yeah, that's my house." She's like,
That's awesome.
"You're terrible."
That's awesome.
So, well, thank you so much for being on the show. Of
Yes.
course, thanks, Rich, for co-hosting
Yeah.
with me. You guys,
Always.
thank you so much for
Yeah,
tuning in.
thank you. Thank you.
Real quick, is there any kind of social media stuff that they can see you on? We're going to put a thing at the end here
Yeah,
with all the exact information. But
I'm
do you have
really
like
bad
pages?
at that. I mean, I have a music page, Cobblestone Wine.
Okay.
It's got an album on there that I recorded with some region musicians, Jim Rubino, Bill St. Clair. It's a folk singer meets jam band, right? Every
Okay.
song's the Suburban Paradise is on there. 6 minutes and maybe 7 minutes long, right? And some wailing guitar solos by Bill St. Clair.
Oh yeah.
And then the drummer on that is a local drummer named Jason Martin. So the 4 of us, along with some other fill-in musicians, recorded this 9-song album. So it's Cobblestone Wine on Facebook. You can find me. And other than that, Michael Wallace on Facebook. I'm not, I don't really do Facebook and all that stuff really well, but
That's all right.
this is a great opportunity. And thank you for allowing me to bring Russell Bradshaw's song to the limelight as
Oh
well.
yeah,
So
this
is the world premiere.
That's the kind of thing that this show is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about bringing that stuff to the forefront, because in a perfect world, those would be the A-sides, right? But
Yeah.
chances are in the world that we actually live in, which is very imperfect, it's like definitely a B-side, because people don't like real sometimes.
Right, yeah.
So here we go. So that's what it is. But thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank
This
you.
is Freakin Friday. This is the Singer-Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Kazonis, with Mr. Rich Jennings from Region Media Network and Region Radio. And we have wonderful Mike Wallace. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Mask up. Stay safe.
Thank you.